Have you ever felt like you're operating on a different frequency? Imagine you're at a party. The music is loud, people are laughing, and the conversation is jumping from the latest Netflix show to what someone had for dinner. But while the person next to you is talking about their new car, your brain is busy wondering, why is status so important to us? Is this car a shield for an underlying insecurity? How does consumerism drive our sense of belonging? Before you know it, you've missed the punchline of a joke because you were busy deconstructing the social architecture of the room. You look around and realize that while others are simply experiencing life, you are constantly translating it. If your mind feels like a browser with 50 tabs open, all of them analyzing the meaning of life, human connection, or the future, you aren't just quiet. You're a deep thinker. In psychology, this isn't just a personality quirk, it's a distinct way of processing reality. It's often linked to a high need for cognition, a psychological trait where an individual finds satisfaction in effortful thinking. But as rewarding as that depth can be, it comes with a psychological price tag that most people don't see. It's a world of profound insights, but also of profound quiet exhaustion. Today, we're going beyond the surface to explore the complex, beautiful, and sometimes heavy psychology of the deep thinking mind. Deep thinkers aren't just thinking more, they are perceiving more. Psychologically, this is often linked to high levels of openness to experience, one of the big five personality traits. But at the core of this experience is a fascinating neurological mechanism called low latent inhibition. In a standard brain, there's a gatekeeper in the thalamus. This gatekeeper's job is to filter out useless background noise. It's why you can walk down a street and not consciously notice the color of every car, the texture of the sidewalk, or the specific pitch of a distant siren. Your brain labels these as irrelevant, so you can focus on your destination. But for a deep thinker, that gate is wide open. You don't just see a person. You see the micro-expressions that flicker across their face for a fraction of a second. You hear the subtle shift in their vocal pitch when they're uncomfortable. You notice the specific way they avoid eye contact when talking about their past. You are essentially a data sponge, absorbing the subtext that everyone else is ignoring. This leads to what psychologists call high cognitive complexity. While others see a forest, you see the individual cellular structures of the leaves, the complex fungal networks in the soil, and the historical patterns of the wind. This creates a bottom-up processing style. Instead of starting with a general idea and ignoring the details, you start with a mountain of details and try to build a general idea. This is why deep thinkers often take longer to answer questions. They aren't slow. They're just processing 1,000 times more data before they reach a conclusion. This makes you incredibly empathetic and insightful, but it also makes the world a very loud and stimulating place. You're not just thinking, you're constantly integrating massive amounts of information that others simply don't perceive. Perhaps the biggest struggle for deep thinkers is the thin, blurry line between a gift and a burden. There's a massive difference between deep thinking and chronic overthinking, and understanding this distinction can be the difference between a breakthrough and a breakdown. Deep thinking is like a professional scuba diver. You dive into the ocean of your mind with a specific mission. You explore the coral reef, you observe the marine life, you gather data, and crucially, you resurface with a new perspective or solution. It's intentional, it's controlled, and it's productive. It moves you forward. You might ponder the ethics of your career path, leading to a meaningful change. That is depth in action. Overthinking, however, is like being caught in a whirlpool. You're spinning in the same dark water, seeing the same terrifying thoughts over and over again. Psychologists call this rumination. It's fueled by the amygdala, the brain's fear center, rather than the prefrontal cortex, the brain's logic center. Instead of searching for the why to find a solution, you're searching for the why to justify your anxiety. You aren't thinking about how to improve a relationship. You're replaying a conversation from 3 years ago, analyzing one specific word, and spiraling into a fear of abandonment. The danger for the deep thinker is that their natural talent for diving deep makes them more susceptible to the whirlpool. Because you can see 100 different angles of a problem, Your brain will sometimes start to hallucinate threats that aren't there, simply because it's bored and needs something complex to analyze. You have to learn to recognize when you've stopped exploring and started spinning. A simple rule of thumb: if your thoughts aren't leading to an action or a feeling of peace, you're likely in the whirlpool. Why do deep thinkers often feel the most lonely when they're surrounded by people? This is known as the social paradox. To a deep thinker, small talk isn't just boring, it's physically and mentally draining. Psychologists suggest this is because deep thinkers operate on a high substance requirement. Talking about the weather or a sports score provides no data for the deep thinker to process. It's like trying to run a NASA supercomputer on a AA battery. It's an inefficient use of resources that leads to a system crash. Deep thinkers crave high-substance interaction. You want to talk about fears, the ethics of AI, the nature of love, or the unspoken tensions in your friendship. You want to skip the "how are you" and go straight to "what are you currently struggling with?" This creates a social disconnect. While you're looking for a deep connection, others are looking for a light interaction. You might come across as too intense or too serious. Furthermore, because you process social interactions on multiple tracks, simultaneously analyzing tone, subtext, history, and future implications, you experience social exhaustion at an accelerated rate. If you find yourself needing to disappear into a quiet corner or go home early, it's not because you're antisocial. It's because your social CPU has reached 100% capacity and needs to cool down. You've been doing the mental work of 10 people just to stay in the conversation. You're not too much. You're just processing at a higher resolution than the people around you. For the average person, being alone might feel like dead time. For a deep thinker, solitude is a non-negotiable biological necessity. It's the difference between mental health and a total burnout. Think of your brain like a high-end film production house. Throughout the day, your open gate is filming hours and hours of raw footage. Every observation, every half-heard comment, every feeling. Solitude is the editing suite. It is only when you are alone, away from the noise of other people's energy, that your brain can finally sit down to process, categorize, and edit that footage into meaningful wisdom. This is what psychologists call the incubation period. It's why your best ideas come to you in the shower, or at 2 a.m., or during a long walk alone. During these moments of mind-wandering, your brain's default mode network takes over. This is the part of the brain responsible for self-reflection and connecting seemingly unrelated ideas. Without this time, deep thinkers suffer from cognitive congestion. You become irritable, anxious, and mentally foggy. You might even feel a sense of identity loss because you haven't had the time to check in with yourself. For a deep thinker, doing nothing is often when the most important work happens. In solitude, the deep thinker isn't avoiding life. They are synthesizing it. They are turning chaos into clarity.